Hey, this is Nathan. I'm at the co-working space making another video of my just now finished 10 minutes ago experience with study.com's Communications 101 Introduction into Public Speaking, which confirmed via email from Academic Advising will slot in for my COM 209 public speaking course at Thomas Edison for my degree. So always double check with your advisor. Again, that stuff can transfer in, but mine will. So a couple of cool things. I didn't have to give, in the DSST and in the TSEP, you have to submit recorded speeches for evaluation. I didn't have to do that, but I'm making this video. So, and I have my outline right here. Okay. So I'm going to give a quick breakdown of study.com and how taking a test on study.com works. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit specifically about this test. So on study.com, the way a test works is that you can do all the tests and take all the Quizlets for just their like $40 a month plan. You do not need the high level $200 a month plan to take all the Quizlets. You only need the $40 a month plan to have access to all the little Quizlets and whatever. And that's what you actually need in order to prepare for taking the exam. So you can do that on the cheaper. Here's how Quizlets work. In each ACE certified course, you have a set number of like videos with Quizlets, and Quizlets are 5 questions each. You have to get either 4 or 5 questions correct on each of those little Quizlets for each of those little courses. So there's video and Quizlet. You have to get 45 answers correct on each of the Quizlets that are associated with the video. So usually you watch the video. It's about one specific portion of information regarding, like the whole subject matter, and then you take a little quiz which is specifically targeted at the information that you should have learned in that video. On average, videos are like between 6-7 minutes long, I would say, on average. And I would also say that on average, the courses have about 100-something videos. So right around that 100 mark. Communications 101 had 89 videos. So it took me roughly 9 hours for me personally to go through all of those things. My sociology one took a lot longer and it had 119. Okay, anyway, you do not have to watch the videos in order to take the Quizlet, which for public speaking, I did not. I skipped a lot of the videos. The Quizlets will probably take you just a couple of minutes each. Like I said, they're about 5 questions. They do have a decent amount of description. But you don't have to watch the videos. You can just click the thing and then be like, nope, I'm just going to take the quiz. I don't need your information extra. I already know this. Personally, for me, I take the Quizlet. And then if I get a bad score on the Quizlet, like I only answer like 2 questions right, then I watch the video no matter what. That is like my standard go-to method for doing that. The official test is a recording that you submit. It is not a live proctor. So if you've taken any online courses with like Thomas Edison or something else, where you've taken a midterm or a final exam or whatever, you know that Thomas Edison uses ProctorU for all of their proctoring, and then it is a live proctor. You have to schedule a proctor, and then you sit there, and then there's a live person on with you, and I can tell you that I much prefer that method. For me, personally, I want to schedule a time, I want to have a real proctor, and I want to know that my crap is done when I hit submit the end. This is not that way. So how this works is that you download a piece of software, you have to go through all the instructions, and you submit the video, you upload the video to their servers as soon as you're done taking the exam. So you kind of have to just like keep your fingers crossed that your internet never screws up during the entire process, which blows. That's not cool. Now, I'm here at the co-working space, which means we have gigabit internet. That's so good. GG to Eric for that one. So we have gigabit internet here, and we have like 99.9% uptime. It's amazing. So I don't have to worry about that. But how many people have that? I don't know, not very many. So that part sucks. I want to just take a proctor with a live proctor. Humans are nice. So that's all about That's all about the proctors. It does take a couple of weeks to score because you're submitting a video which then goes into a queue to be reviewed by a real person to make sure that you didn't like cheat or do anything shifty or have someone like walk in during your test or whatever. Which also sucks because when you're doing a Proctor U, you have a real live person who is telling you yes or no that is going to be acceptable like right then. Like you freaking spin your camera around and they're like, oh no, can you take that thing out of the room or can you sit in this position? So submitting this video and then not hearing back for 2 to 3 weeks, that sucks. And I will so pay the extra $5 for like the emergency proctoring fee to go to Proctor U. So study.com, get your crap together. Switch to Proctor U, it's way better. In my personal opinion. They do, okay, so even though you don't get your like official results back immediately, you do get to see your score at the end. So I can tell you for this one, I got a 77 out of 100. I'm used to DSST and club scoring, so normally if you get a 50, you pass, although it's not really a DSST score, it really is a 50. But I don't exactly know what score you need for study.com. I should probably double check that. But anyway, I got a 77 out of 100, so we'll see. I know in real school that's a C and that passes, so we'll see. The test, okay, so specifically about this test, that I'm not gonna talk specifically about questions or anything like that, but here's what I will say about the test. The test related very closely to the Quizlet questions and the video content provided during the whole course. So if you actually watch any of the videos or you actually are passing those Quizlets with 4 or 5, like 80 to 100% accuracy, and you feel like you answered them and you're like, okay, yeah, I pretty much understand the material within them. If you did that and you feel confident about answering each of those Quizlets leading up to the study or leading up to the final exam, then like you're in a really good position. That's how I feel with this. Like there was nothing verbatim, but the concepts that they covered and the way that they positioned the questions were very familiar. And so I felt like, oh, I've used study.com to study for DSSTs and CLEPs, and that feels a little awkward. So like I have to use study.com and then think, okay, these are kind of the concepts, but then the questions they ask in the CLEP and DSSTs are like very different. You can tell that they're like 2 different groups like authoring them and whatever. In this one, the videos and Quizlets related almost directly to the questions they were asking me in the final exam, and so that was much more comfortable, and I appreciated that because I actually felt like prepared to take the final. That being said, take the practice exam. It relates like literally almost directly. Like there was a question in the practice exam that was the reverse of the question in the final exam. That didn't happen like a ton of times, but it happened enough that I was like, if you take the practice exam, it's basically a gimme for an extra 30% on the final. Like that is a lot of exam to sit through because the practice exam is like 50 questions. I'm like, oh my God, that's so many questions, because then the final is 100 questions. But if you can deal with it, it is awesome. And it'll give you, it'll definitely increase your percentage on the final because the questions are extremely similar. What else did I want to say? Okay. So the entire testing experience, not including the practice exam, took me right around 2 hours. So that includes getting to the co-working space, setting up, downloading, like making sure I was all ready to take the test, downloading the software. I had to do a little bit of troubleshooting because apparently like Windows 10, I don't know why they don't just give you this instruction. I have Windows 10 and their piece of software, their POS, says, hey, if you have Windows 8 or higher, then it might not open on your computer. And I'm like, what? What? Of course I have Windows 10. Like, at least I'm like, of course I at least have access to Windows 10, at the very least. That is, of course, the computer that I would be using at this point. Is ridiculous to think that I wouldn't be using a computer that's Windows 8 or higher. Like, just as a general thing, like, obviously there are exceptions, but for the most part, yes, of course I'm going to be using a Windows 8 or higher operating system at this point. So that was super annoying, and I did run into trouble, and I did have to get a hold of tech support. And here is the solution. The solution was super stupid, which is just run the installer in freaking administrator mode, which made me annoyed because I'm like, why didn't you just include that in like the, just in case your system won't open this, try running the installation in administrator mode. Like, that's like a one line of help text, whatever. The point is, that was annoying, and it took me like an extra 10 or 15 minutes. So the actual exam, they give you 2 hours, 120 minutes, and there's 100 questions. I got done, and with the entire experience in roughly 2 hours, which includes at the very end of the exam, they give you your however many out of however many questions. For me, 77 out of 100, and then said, hey, don't close your computer or get disconnected from the internet for at least another 10 or 15 minutes because we have to upload this video to our servers so that then some human can actually review it in the future. Which is like, all right, yeah, that's fine, I guess. That's super annoying. I wish I could have paid $10 and just had like a real person sitting around and like watching me on their 17th screen. That would have been so much better. So anyway, that was pretty much it. So I think I said this, but like total study time for me for this exam, right in the 9-hour mark, between 8 and 10 hours. It's hard to say exactly, but although it should be known that like I skipped a bunch of the videos in this one. So like I speak publicly, I have some public speaking experience. I do this stuff all the time, and I know the logistics of public speaking. So even though I don't really use them in my YouTube videos, because they're different, because they're just like diary videos that other people watch. Anyway, point being, I don't use all the principles of like good public speaking, and I don't care because that's not what this is for. But I do know most of the principles of that, and I knew them before I ever started this course. So I skipped a big chunk of the material. So out of 89 little Quizlets, I skipped at least 30 of those videos, and just took the Quizlets, got 4 or 5, which is an 80 or 100% passing on the Quizlet, and then moved right along. So also, I always watch every study.com video on 1.5 speed, always. So that's it. That's my entire experience with the Comms 101 on study.com. As it relates to TSU's Comms 209, Introduction to Public Speaking. Hopefully I passed, which would be awesome. Thanks.